So the guys I work with joke around all the time saying that I buy a new car like every month. Well, that's probably not too far off. It's actually about every 4 months, I guess, I buy a new car. But I did it again. We got a new one. Check this thing out. Oh. Yeah, so this market right now with the used trucks is just insane. I wasn't really thinking about selling the Colorado. The thought had crossed my mind. The time, it's really just been doing everything we needed. The truck has been our base camp when we're camping. It's been our tow rig for the Samurai. It's been our overlander, self-sustaining truck. And we've just had no issues with it this entire time. I think when I first got it, I had to go to the dealership once because one of the tire pressure sensors was just showing blank the whole time, but that's it. But because of all this crazy stuff that has been going on in the used truck market, I decided I would blue book the Colorado and see how much it was worth. Well, it was really crazy. When I saw it, Kelly Blue Book said it was worth $12,000 more than I paid for it. Of course, that's private party. It's kind of hard to get that amount. So I ended up selling the Colorado and I made like $8,000 off the sale. Basically drove the Colorado for free for a year and a half and then also made some money on top of it. So you can't really sell your truck if you still need a truck because that money isn't gonna mean anything if you have to buy another one at a marked up price. The only way you can make this deal work is if you either don't need a truck for a while so you can sell it and pocket that money, or if you're gonna roll it into a brand new truck, which is really the problem to begin with. There just aren't enough trucks out there for everybody, and with the chip shortages and the shipping stuff we have going on, there weren't enough new trucks out there. So people were buying these used trucks. Well, after learning all this stuff, I decided I would kind of look around and see if I could find a new truck anywhere that I could roll that profit from the Colorado into. And my brother up in Medford actually found a really sweet deal for me. All the trucks here in California that I was looking at, they all had some kind of market adjustment, $10,000, $15,000 over MSRP. Just cause, no reason, just cause of the market. Once I put my deposit down on that truck, I knew I could sell the Colorado. So the question is, what did we get to replace the Colorado? Well, it's probably gonna come as a surprise to a lot of you guys because we just went so kind of overboard with this purchase, but it's something I've been wanting to get for a really long time. And I thought I was gonna have to kind of wait a few years before I actually had enough money to roll into that, but now we can do it. Check this thing out. This is the 2022 GMC Sierra 3500. Yeah, 3500. Why in the world would I get a truck that big coming from a Colorado? Well, the thing is, we never really wheeled the Colorado that much. I mean, it was great to have a 4x4. That truck really just did super easy trails and got us to our campsite. So we didn't really need the off-road ability as much as I thought we were going to need. But what we could use is more towing and payload. And when it comes to big trucks that can tow and haul, that is for Chevy and GMC, the 2500 and the 3500. I'm going to go over some quick stats on this truck just so it answers all your guys' questions. And then we're going to get into the mods we're going to do to this truck so we can use it as our overlander. So this is not the diesel option. This is the 6.6 liter gas. I specifically didn't want the diesel option because the diesel is like $10,000 to $12,000 more than the gasser. Now, the diesel is definitely a must-have if you're going to be towing like really heavy. Those things can tow some insane amounts. I don't even know how I'd get my package that heavy, but this one can tow about 18,500 with a single rear wheel. We don't even have that much to tow right now, but the cool thing is now we have that room for growth where we can do that later. So this is almost the base model. It's like one tier above that. The Colorado was an LT, which is one step above the work truck. This one's an SLE, which means it's one step above GMC's version of a work truck. So doesn't have all the bells and whistles. Most of it is pretty chill. It's just a regular, I almost call it like a work truck. Anyways, it's just like a tool, you know, it's something that we just need to get the job done. Not really anything luxury like a lot of these modern trucks are. So this one has a 6-speed transmission Chevy's been using for a while. And then this specific truck has the X31 package, which basically the Z71, but for GMC. So as you can see, this is a long bed, which was a must for me. I didn't get to choose any of these options because this one was going straight to the factory, and it is almost everything I wanted except one thing. This one's a double cab, which I was hoping for a crew cab just to have that extra room. When you see this truck in person, it is just so massive in every way. The height of it, the length of it, the width of it, everything is huge. So I'm actually really content with this now that I have it. I did the research before I put my deposit down on it, and this double cab has basically the same amount of room in the back as the Colorado did. And the back of the Colorado for us was plenty. One cool thing about this truck though is because the front is so big, you can scoot this driver's seat up to a normal spot where it is right now, how my wife sits. Basically the same for me. I like to sit with my seat up really close because I'm weird, but that allows more room in the back. So plenty of leg room back here. The cab is just much more manageable. I've been in some crew cabs and the amount of room back here is so much, it's actually kind of weird. It's like there's so much room in front of my knees. Like there's almost too much room for activities. I would have taken the crew cab still. I'm totally content with this because we got everything else that we wanted. So the X31 package, what that means is it's got some Rancho suspension products like shock, has a rear locker. In this case, it also comes with these wheels that I think look pretty cool. In the pictures and stuff, when it was getting ordered, it showed this part right here was black and the rest of it was kind of like machined, but it's more like a darker gray, the light gray. I still think they look great. It's got some nice all-terrain-ish tires on them. They're just a little bit more aggressive than the other ones. And besides that, this truck is pretty much the same as the Colorado. Like I said, it's like the bare bones one. A couple extra things that this one has that the Colorado didn't: heated seats. That part's pretty killer. I love having that. It's got a heated steering wheel. Never thought I would need or want one of those, but that's actually pretty cool too. It's got the trailering package and the X31 package, which is an upgrade over the Colorado. And one more little thing that it's got is the remote start, which once again, don't need it, but it is cool to have if it's going to come with it. So the difference between the 2500 and the 3500, from what I understand, is very little. This is a full 1-ton truck, and really the difference is the suspension in the rear of the 3500 is just got a little bit more beef to it, so it can handle the payload and towing easier. And then the other thing is it doesn't derate in first gear, meaning regardless of what's going on with the engine or the transmission or whatever, you're gonna be able to get full power in first gear. One really cool thing about this truck, kind of caught my eye right away, is this tailgate. I always forget the name of it, like if it's multi-flex or multi-pro. Anyways, this tailgate folds down in a couple different ways, and I think a lot of people were like, yeah, big whoop, what does that mean for me? But I'm thinking overlanding with this truck. This is what it does that's cool. So there's this top part that kind of comes down, and I've seen on commercial and stuff, guys are working on their computers right here. Kind of weird, but you know, you could move a bunch of stuff and have it stick out the back. You can put up this little thing right here, and it's like a little wall for the wood, you know, or whatever you have going out. But check this out, if I can get it open. So the tailgate comes down like normal, and then if you do this top part again, this part comes down. So it's kind of cool because you can get in the bed a little bit further, and then say you're cooking or something back here, you can have this step right here that's mostly for just getting in the back of the truck, right? And then you've got this little handle right here. But for me, I was thinking about cooking. Like say you've got a deck system back here and you got these drawers coming out, and then you only need one drawer open to get your spices and your cooking stuff out. And then you've got like a Coleman stove right here or Blackstone. And then you've got this other shelf down here that you can put more stuff on, like the food, seasonings, oil, whatever. Got a couple cup holders right here. I just think this is a really cool option. It also makes for a nice seat with a foot rest down here. This thing's killer. I love this tailgate, and this is one of those things I would pay extra to have this because I think this is going to be really, really cool. Another option for this is you can put some lights in these, or you can put speakers in these. They have a couple different kits. I like that option a lot. Speaking of lights, this bed with the bed liner in it has some LED lights in both the corners right there. Nice and white light. Really like that. One cool thing about this truck is because it's a GMC, it kind of comes standard with a lot of stuff that the Chevy might not. So the lights are all LED. They look really clean. The headlights are super clear and bright. I just love everything with this truck so far. I'm really stoked to have this, feeling super blessed to be able to work this out. Planets aligned. I was able to sell my truck and get this one for a good deal with no markup. Right on. All right, so let's talk about our future plans with this truck. We could just leave it stock like this and we could do everything just fine. There's actually a lot of ground clearance under this truck. Approach angle is not that bad, especially compared to the Colorado, but it's a big truck. We could be out there by ourselves. One thing I want to get for this thing is a new front bumper that can hold a winch. The company that I bought mine from last time, Chassis Unlimited, they make one for this truck. It looks really cool. It holds a winch and some lights just like the last one I had, and it's not going to have that air dam on the bottom, so we'll have some better clearance. These tires are 33 inches stock, so they're actually a pretty big tire that they have on here already. But eventually I'd like to put a small lift on here, maybe 2 or 3 inches, and then run a 35 just to get that extra ground clearance because of the wheelbase, and then also run just a bigger tire. And they have way more options available in that 35 inch tire than they do in this size, so we could get some cool mud terrains that are rated E and thicker ply and all that stuff. With that, I'll probably throw 1 inch block in the rear to just kind of keep that rake a little bit, because another thing we're going to do, just like the Colorado, I ended up keeping that rooftop tent in the rack. So we have the rack that goes on there. It's about 4 feet long, and this is an 8-foot bed, so the rack needs to be modified to be a little bit longer, and then it's gonna have to get stretched out so it can fit this width. So we are gonna put the rooftop tent on here and the rack, so it's gonna be the same height, about 12 inches off this. We're gonna have some room back here to play with. I think it's about 14 inches. Well, let's see, 98, never mind. It's 98 inches long for the bed, and the rooftop tent is only 74 inches long. So yeah, we've got a couple feet to play with back there. Of course, there's an option for a rear bumper from Chassis Unlimited too. Also looks really cool. Not really sure if we need that right now, but they do make one that has a tire carrier that's swing out and holds some gas cans and all that, and I definitely think that is cool. Can I afford it? We'll find out. Besides that, I think this truck's gonna be ready to rock. That's how it is. Besides those upgrades, I think the truck is just gonna be perfect for what we want to do. Eventually, I'd like to get a slide-in cab-over camper to put in the back, and then the payload capacity for this truck's money, so we can definitely handle that and still tow no problem. That's this thing's bread and butter. So that's the new truck. I'm super excited about this. I just love driving this truck around. It's basically just the Colorado on steroids. Almost everything is the same inside except those few details that I mentioned earlier, and you know, of course, it's just got a ton more power than the Colorado had. One thing I was thinking about doing is making a video comparing the stats of this truck versus the Colorado, which kind of sounds dumb, but I want to do it in a way that applies to overlanding and towing. Basically, in my situation, like what's better about having this setup and what's worse about having a full-size setup, because I know a lot of people are wondering what they should do. Should they do the Colorado? Should they do a Silverado? Should they do the 2500? You know, and that really is going to go through all of the makes, you know, the Ram, Ford, Toyota. They have different tiers, so I'm going to talk about some of those things that could probably help you make a decision if you're stuck on what to do. But anyways, guys, that's it for this video. Thanks for checking it out. If you got any recommendations for this truck, or you've got one and you want to give me some tips on what to do to, you know, avoid any issues with this or help it off-road, camping, anything, put it down in the comments and let me know. See you guys next time.